Hey everyone, and welcome to my channel. Today I want to share with you what I consider my Valentine's Day video. Now, I had the idea for this video last year on Valentine's Day, and I thought, if I had it just a few days earlier, it would have been perfect. But I decided to just write it down and keep it and see whether I still think it's a good idea this year. And I think so. So we're gonna do it. So this is a Valentine's Day video that is all about books that will make you feel happy that you're single. Now, when I say that, what I mean is that these books portray relationships that are not healthy, that are not something you want to experience, and where you read them and you're like, thank God, I don't have to go through this. That doesn't mean that the books are bad. These are all books I very much enjoyed and would recommend you read. That's the whole point of the video. It's just that they usually portray relationships that are abusive or just like not good in some way. Now, usually that is because the men in these situations are rubbish, but not all of these are heterosexual as well. I did have a little bit of variety in there. Now, I have been single for a couple of years and I have been very happy about that. Obviously, sometimes you miss just having someone to give you a hug on a bad day, but apart from that, I think I can do pretty much all that I want to do in life on my own. So yeah, let's talk about some books that will give you that feeling that you really don't need a partner. Or at least not a partner like that. We're gonna start out with two books by the same author, and that is Ayobami Adebayo. So the first book I read from the author was Stay With Me. This is a book about a Nigerian couple, and when they meet, they are both in college, I believe, and they decide to get married. And the kind of promise they make each other is that they will just be married, the two of them, that there won't be a second wife in this marriage. However, they do end up having trouble having kids, and so the family of the husband gets very pushy and they try to kind of force him to get a second wife, to have children. This book will make you so angry. I was so angry when I read it. It has been quite a few years. I read it more like around the time when it came out. So this is definitely one I consider rereading sometime soon. But oof, this book made me so angry, and really like the betrayal in this book is so big that you will just be so glad you do not have a man in your life that could betray you like that. Next up, we have the next book from the author, A Spell of Good Things. Now, in this one, we do follow two perspectives, but one of the perspectives is a young woman. She is either already working as a doctor or training to be a doctor. So again, she is very well educated, but she is in a abusive relationship. But because she is like from a well-off family, it's like very hard for her to kind of express that and kind of get out of it again, because yeah, it's like so important to pretend that everything is perfect, to not cause a fuss. And the other perspective follows a young boy who comes from a very, very poor family. So overall, this book is like very, very hard-hitting. It's very sad, very depressing, and I didn't like it as much as Stay With Me, but definitely if you want to read more from Black authors, African settings, then you should definitely check this out. Next up, we have another one of my favorite books, but again, one where, yeah, you appreciate that maybe you don't have a man who's a dick. So, this is Pachinko by Min Jin Lee. This is a book that, again, is very heartbreaking. This is more of a generational story. We follow the fate of a Korean woman and her sons as the kind of war with Japan comes to an end, and then they decide to move to Japan, where they're discriminated against very heavily. And the way that she meets a man and the kind of relationship that they have is so terrible. It's like so terrible. The man is just not great. And then also the sons, they turn out very differently. And yeah, you feel for that poor woman a lot because like she did not deserve the man in her life. Next up, we have a book that I think might even be considered YA. I'm not quite sure. It's a very, very quick read. This is definitely one that you can read in just one day, and that is Medusa by Jessie Burton. This is the story of Medusa, and if you know the story, then you know it's not nice. It's not nice. It's not great. This is a story where a woman is portrayed as a monster for the monstrous acts that men have committed. Yeah, it's a very hard-hitting book. Again, one that will not make you happy, but one that I think is very important. Another one that is YA is Where Sleeping Girls Lie by Faridah Àbíké-Íyímídé. This one is basically, I would say, a Me Too story in a way. This is probably considered like dark academia. It's kind of a YA thriller that is set in this private school. And basically we have a girl who has been homeschooled, but now she is joining this school and there's some things going on and she has kind of a hidden agenda why she's there. Now, I felt like the way that we find out why she is there in the end, I think if we would have known that earlier on in the story, it would have made a lot of it even more impactful. That's why I think that the storytelling in this one isn't quite perfect, but I still think that the themes we explore in this book are extremely important, especially also for younger readers. Now, maybe going to some classics. These are books that definitely make me very happy. I don't have husbands. The first one is the obvious choice, The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood. I think that by now everyone has heard of The Handmaid's Tale. This is a dystopian story where at the beginning of the book, basically women are stripped of all of their rights. This is sadly very close to some things going on in the United States. So yeah, maybe someone read this book and saw it as kind of a goal. I don't know. It's very icky. And then we jump forward in time a little bit and we kind of see how society has developed and the kind of three different roles women can play in this society, which is completely dominated by the men. Women basically have no say about their bodies and about their futures. Then we have Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. Now, I must be honest, I really don't like this book so much. I was very disappointed when I read it because so many people love it, and I was just disgusted by the behavior of the main character in this book. Like, what even is this book? But also, like, if you read about this, and I think this was written in the 1930s, you can be very happy that you don't live during a time like that and that you do not have a husband like that, because I would have dumped his ass. Like, that man is disgusting. But basically, we're following a young woman who meets an older man, and because she needs kind of a way out, she decides to marry him. And then she goes with him to his estate, and he had a late wife called Rebecca, and Rebecca still seems to be very present in this estate. And then lastly, for the classics, I wanted to talk about Passing by Nella Larsen. Now, this book has many different relationships that it focuses on. This is also very, very short. So again, one you can easily read in one day. And this is the story about a woman who is white passing, and by accident she meets another woman from her childhood again who lives normally as a Black woman, and they start having a bit of a friendship again. And yeah, it's the man that will make you so happy you don't have a husband is the husband of the white passing lady, and he is such a racist bigot that it will just ugh, disgust the heck out of you, I promise. Last but not least, I have two more recent reads, and the first one is A Dowry of Blood by S.T. Gibson. So if you are craving a little bit more fantasy than I have mentioned so far, then this might be the one. You've probably heard about this one. This is following the wife of Dracula. Now, Dracula is never really mentioned by name, but they do have a very strained relationship. She doesn't really get to have any say in the relationship. A lot of the things are just pushed upon her, and she is trying to come to terms with what she did. She's kind of writing a letter to him about her life and how she experienced it. And last but not least, we're gonna stick to the vampires, but we will make it a little bit more queer with Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil. Now, I didn't love this book. For me, it was like definitely too long for what it was doing. But if you are a lesbian or bisexual and you want to be glad you don't have a girlfriend or a wife, then I think this book will definitely be the one. The women in this are all kind of problematic. We are following three perspectives, but the most horrible one is definitely kind of like the oldest perspective we are following. This is just a book about abusive vampires, basically. As I said, for me it was a little bit too long, but a lot of people loved it, so I thought I'd throw it in here as well at the end if you are interested in checking it out. So these would be my recommendations for books to read when you want to feel happy that you're single. I don't know if this was as funny and entertaining as I thought it would be, but as I said, all of these books are like real recommendations. They're all books that I enjoyed or even loved, but they're kind of like the anti-romance. They portray relationships that are not healthy, that you don't want to be part of, and you don't want to experience in your life. So I hope for the singles out there, kind of fun to watch. If you have some recommendations about like books that are actually very good but that center relationships that are not good, then definitely let me know in the comments. I would love to hear about that. Also, don't forget to leave a like. That really helps me out, and I will talk to you very soon. Bye!